I'm going to be doing my persuasive speech, doing it on contracting. According to James Yeager, who was a contractor, in his book High Risk Civilian Contracting, Working in a War-Torn World, civilian contracting is the employment of non-military personnel to perform services, usually logistical, in support of a larger action taken by a government or non-government organization. Civilian contractors are frequently used by the U.S. military, U.S. Department of State, private companies, and many other organizations to provide many diverse services. Some examples include feeding and housing military personnel, transporting fuel and other supplies, and providing security for static and dynamic assets. So as stated, there are many different jobs you can do as a contractor, but I'm going to be focused on the security aspect for the most part. So besides what do they do, you may ask, who are these people? These people are civilians that get hired because of their needed skill set. This can be anywhere from truck driving and cooking to ex-special forces. Just like getting hired for any other job, there are requirements and prerequisites that must be met to become a contractor. Triple Canopy, one of the bigger and well-known companies like Blackwater, have set these requirements and a job description for being hired. These go along with a lot of other contracting firms as well. To be a protective security specialist, you need to be a U.S. citizen, need to complete or serve at least 3 years in the U.S. military, police, or executive protection. There's a long list, but to get the point across, the people who get hired are professionals at what they do. So you may ask, why do we need contractors? Why can't we just have the military perform all these duties? Stated on www.brookings.edu on Federal News Radio discussing military contractors in Afghanistan, September 10, 2008, Vanda Felba Brown says, For months our Secretary of Defense has been asking the Europeans to put in more helicopters to move troops around for intelligence and interdiction missions, and these helicopters have not been forthcoming. The outcome has been we've had to rely on private contractors. That is just an example of needing air supports, and that the military does not have the capability to do that specific job at that time. So the solution is hiring contractors who do have the capabilities. This is just one example out of many jobs that the U.S. has run into. This is the answer to why we have become more and more reliant on contracting firms is due to the lack of capabilities and sheer manpower or numbers. If we didn't hire contractors, we wouldn't have the capabilities we need and would most likely have a draft. Hardly anyone, if anyone, wants to have a draft. So this is the solution to the problem. There are both positive and negative effects for utilizing PMCs or private military contractors. On the website www.thepolitic.org, under articles, The Price of War, Private Military Contractors in the Modern Age, posted on February 27, 2010, Edward Fishman writes, PMCs provide a range of essential services for the military, from supplying food and laundry to servicing unmanned aerial vehicles and guarding convoys and even military bases. Although these services were once performed by military personnel, they have since been outsourced to a slimmed-down military can focus on combat operations. This is obviously a plus. Without contractors, the U.S. military would fail in certain situations. He continues, while proponents argue the United States military operations are now the best supplied and equipped in their history, the heavy reliance on civilians for what were once military tasks has profound implications. The Department of Defense now employs hundreds of thousands of private contractors, but still lacks a comprehensive strategy to supervise and monitor their actions. This is a negative factor. Although contracting can help in many ways, there are always problems in times of war, and not being able to monitor contracting firms' actions can be very problematic. It is double-edged when it comes to utilizing private contractors. Many people have a negative look on them due to things like they get paid more than most of our soldiers and other things of that nature. Due to these, some of these views come from false information and rumors. A huge stereotype is that a contractor is a mercenary or gun for hire. A mercenary is someone who fights only for money and money alone. James Yeager, in his book that was previously mentioned, states, "The security contractor is hardworking, intelligent, moral, and ethical. He cares for human life. He is a patriot." The typical Hollywood stereotype of a cavalier, bloodthirsty mercenary is just how it sounds, a negative stereotype, and should not be applied to the modern core of security contractors. Former Navy SEAL Ben Thomas, on an interview for MSNBC, stated, "I saw contracting as being an extension to my service to my country." Whether people like it or not, the U.S. has utilized civilian contracting. The men and women who are contractors are an important part of the success in our military today. Yes, there are some negative aspects about this line of work, but that is true for almost any job, especially when operating in war. The fact is, without contractors, our military would be severely hindered, or fail flat out in certain aspects and situations. Contractors are needed in today's world and will probably be needed in the future. Thank you.